So one of the most amazing places for me here is the Liberation Pavilion in the Faith in Wartime Gallery. And in there is an exhibit of the 4 chaplains that went down on the Dorchester. Deacon Ray, I don't know if you're familiar with that story, but as I understand it, it was a troop ship that was leaving Boston on its way to Greenland, and it was sunk by U-boats. There were approximately 900 people on board that ship. Over 600 lost their lives. But as the ship was going down, there was these 4 chaplains. And men were leaving the ship looking for life preservers, and they ran out of life preservers. And these 4 chaplains gave up their life preservers so that others could survive. There was a Protestant, I think 2 different Protestant chaplains, a Jewish chaplain, and Father John Washington. And what makes this very exciting for us is that Father John Washington was a 1935 graduate of Immaculate Conception Seminary School of Theology up in South Orange. At the time it was in Darlington. We're now in South Orange. It's just an amazing story of faith, of courage of these 4 chaplains that I think is a great story that needs to be told. I love that image of deacons being ambassadors for Christ. In the history of the permanent diaconate, deacons were ambassadors of the individual bishops going out into the world in that part of our church history. But I think being an ambassador for Christ is being able to go out and bring the message, the gospel, the good news of Jesus Christ with boldness and courage, but in a way that's very humble. We talked about a day or 2 ago, the washing of feet mentality on your knees. And so it's a combination of preaching boldly Christ crucified, Christ risen, but in a very humble way. Ray, do you have some thoughts on that?
Yeah, so, in a very practical way, we look at our own lives and our current milieu that we live within, in terms of culture and society. And I don't think anyone would debate that we're all struggling. People struggle with everything that's going on in the world. And that struggle is born of the rebellion that we are as human beings, our rebellion as persons. That's what we call sin. And this strife that develops in culture and in society is not pretty. However, there's always the truth of the gospel and the kernel of truth in everything. And we just have to be for others that sense of mercy, compassion, and truth as best we can, right? Sinful though we are, there are times when we're embedded in society in ways, either at the Little League ball field, at the grocery store, at all of these places where very normal activities are being undertaken by us and by the people around us. And so while we say ambassadors, it sounds like a very specific kind of term, but really we just live our lives out in the normal way we do and minister to people through the gift that we are in terms of a sacrament of service to the church.